Beneath the bamboo shelter, he pauses to drink, scanning the vast horizon, a silent negotiation with the wild, measuring the distance left before sunset. He checks the vines, guiding a slipping sapling back. Each secured stem is an investment in tomorrow's shade, turning wild growth into structure. He crouches by the pond, hands breaking the glassy surface. The silver fish scatter, a brief disruption in this fragile aquatic world. At the floating island's edge, he rhythmically waters the thirsty greens. Distant mountains witness this daily ritual of sustaining life on drifting earth. He grabs a green watering can and marches up the steep slope. The knife at his waist glints, a silent promise that this land yields nothing without a fight. Through golden rapeseed, mist sprays from his can, kissing vibrant petals. He paints life into the barren hillside, one drop at a time. Halving his pace at the mid-slope, he draws his machete to inspect a stubborn root. With practiced precision, he scrapes away excess bark, reading the plant's health like a doctor reads a pulse. The blade flashes in rhythm, severing thick weeds and crops. This isn't gardening, it's a war to reclaim every inch of soil from nature's grasp. The pile of harvested greens grows into a small mountain as his chopping accelerates. Beside him, his loyal black dog watches in quiet solidarity, a silent partner in this grueling dance of survival. Hoisting a massive, heavy bundle of fresh foliage onto his shoulder, he begins the trek back. The dog takes the lead, navigating the winding mountain path, guiding its master back to the floating haven. He steps onto the narrow bridge, crossing from land to his floating sanctuary. The dog trots ahead on the planks, eager to return home. He lifts the grass bundle high, arranging it atop the frame. This is thermal armor, shielding his home from the biting lake winds. He scans the muddy banks, selecting the straightest bamboo poles. In this harsh, wild, strong foundations mean survival. Bracing the thick bamboo with his foot, he saws furiously. Wood chips explode into the air as the blade cuts through the fiber. Kneeling, he aligns a sharpened wooden peg with the joint. The hammer strikes hard, driving it deep to lock the structure tight. The peg sits flush. He gives the pillar a firm shake, testing its solid grip. Two bamboo huts stand in the lake. On the deck, his hammer strikes, a steady pulse of work against the quiet wild. Kneeling at the deck's edge, he drives a peg into the joint. Every strike reinforces the frame against the lake's unpredictable wrath. He stows the saw, lifts the timber, and strides toward the main structure for assembly. Twin bamboo huts float on the lake, delicate against layered mountains. His small figure on the deck defies nature's vast scale. On the dry bank, his black dog sniffs the earth, then darts away. A fleeting glimpse of wild instinct beneath domestication. He lifts the heavy round timber to the top of the vertical posts. Carefully, he adjusts it for balance, securing the base for the upper tier. He fits the short brace, visualizing the trapezoidal frame. Each angle must perfectly distribute the crushing weight. Perched on the outer frame over water, he drives pegs into the beam with steady force. Each rhythmic strike locks the joints, securing the structure against gravity's relentless pull. He slides to the opposite pillar, striking faster as the daylight fades away. He shifts his stance, hammering the wooden fence. The lake mirrors the overcast sky, a dark void swallowing the sound of his labor. He runs a hand over the secured rails, testing their strength. The pigeons on the roof remain still, silent judges of his structural work. He drops the hammer and turns to the other side. The perimeter holds, but the interior needs work. The lake mirrors the mountains. The camera dives to the waterline. Beneath the surface, tiny pale fish weave through submerged bamboo. Sunlight fractures through ripples, casting dappled light on the sandy bottom, a hidden world in his creation's shadow. Silver flashes multiply as the school circles the lens. The water shifts from emerald to pale blue, revealing the pristine ecology he calls home. The water clears, revealing the fish below. Squatting on the deck, he saws through a thick beam. Coarse sawdust flies with every pull, contrasting the serene water backdrop. He swaps the saw for his machete, shaving away rough bark in fluid strokes. He refines raw nature into precise building blocks. The blade scores a line before he switches to heavy chops, carving the mortise to accept its partner in an ancient embrace. He alternates saw and blade, refining the block until it matches his vision. Laying pieces side by side, he checks dimensions, trusting only his own calibration. He presses the grooved blocks together, scraping away splinters with this blade. The joint slides home with a tight kiss, leaving no gap for rot. With heavy strikes, he locks the crossbeam and pillar into a tight mortise and tenon joint. A violent shake confirms its unyielding strength. Moving down the line, he repeats the brutal cycle of chopping and grinding. The bamboo raft groans and sways beneath his boots, a floating workshop dancing on the edge of the lake. Clearing the pre-cut joints, he rises, wiping dust from his hands. The groundwork is done. Now comes the perilous ascent to lock these pieces into the sky. The black dog barks at the distant lake, then sniffs the dry ground. It signals its master across the water. The dog rolls in the dry mud, digging with joy. In the mist, the floating cabin looms like a phantom. High on the raft, he hammers the beams in steady rhythm. Mountains encircle him as his strikes echo across the water. He pauses with his hammer suspended, gazing at the fiery red horizon to acknowledge the day's brutal toll. He retracts the hammer, scaling the frame to the high crossbeam. Balanced on the narrow wood, he turns a precarious perch into his workspace. He adjusts the pillar's angle, then strikes it with force to lock it firmly in place. Straddling two beams, he saws a diagonal brace, his body swaying with the blade. The timber snaps and splashes down. He checks the clean cut, satisfied it fits the joint. He slides the sawn timber into the groove, tapping it firm. It fits flush, locking seamlessly into the frame. Two red roosters forage on the grassy shore. A black dog runs along the bank, stirring ripples in the water. On the floating island, he wrestles with a massive bamboo pole. Nearby, his dog rolls in the mud, content in their separate worlds. He moves to the cabin's other side, sorting nets and debris. The dog sits on the shore, watching him work. He quickens the saw, piercing bamboo nodes with rapid thuds. Raw efficiency turns hours of labor into mere minutes. As the last bamboo is cut, he drops the saw and gathers the scattered sections. The frantic energy yields to a methodical rhythm, prepping the deck for what comes next. He hoists the bamboo bundle, stepping carefully onto the swaying raft to deliver the load to the upper platform. He balances on the high beam, laying bamboo tubes across the frame. He adjusts each gap tightly, forming the floor's solid skin. He unspools a thick rope, lashing the beams in sweeping motions. Sunlight hits his bronze skin, revealing the raw strength binding this floating fortress. At the floor's edge, he fine-tunes the last tubes. He tests stability with his heel, ensuring no weak points remain in his armor. On the second floor edge, he lifts a thick beam to join the column. He saws a groove into the post, creating a socket for the load. He places short bamboo tubes on the floor, driving them vertically between the beams. The wall rises quickly from the left, forming a solid enclosure. Clearing the sawdust, he smoothes the rough cut with his palm. Then, hammer in hand, he drives the top nails home with rapid strikes, locking each bamboo stalk tight into the frame. At the corner, he drives in a diagonal brace. This angled strike boosts wind resistance, showing his structural mastery. He lifts the mallet and strikes the vertical peg, driving it deep into the second floor slot with a single powerful blow. He swings the mallet again, striking the beam column joint with force. Each blow drives the reinforcements deep, locking the frame tight against any sway. He draws his saw and cuts the diagonal brace, wood dust flying. This precise cut shapes the support that locks the wall's geometry. The tool returned an empty string, which means the syllable count is within the target range. I can now output the final result. At the second floor edge, he slides horizontal bamboo strips into slots, tapping each gently with his hammer. The wall takes shape layer by layer. His hands blur, rapidly feeding bamboo strips into the tight gaps. With each piece locked in place, the wall climbs higher, closing off the interior from the open lake. He presses his full weight against the bamboo wall to test its lateral strength. then delivers the final hammer blows to lock it in place. He grabs the orange-handled saw and trims the excess bamboo from the left wall. Each cut is precise, refining the rough structure into a clean architectural facade. He carefully angles the saw to ensure each cut runs parallel to the vertical posts, transforming the rough wall into a surface with the refined texture of a crafted masterpiece. He holds the board against the loft and takes a tiny knife. With focus, he scores a heart shape into the wood, pouring his soul into the grain. He shifts his grip, sculpting the heart's tight curves as wood chips fly with each delicate cut. Pure artistry emerges from the brutal labor. He brushes dust from the edges and holds the board to the light. Two perfect heart-shaped holes gleam, a stark contrast to his rugged floating home. With firm strikes, he locks the board in place. 3 heart-shaped holes align perfectly on the wall, a final touch of artistry. He hoists a bundle of split bamboo tiles. Climbing to the loft's peak on the sloping beams, he lays the first layer, starting the roof. He slides a tile from below into the ridge, completing the roof's seamless armored shell.